Welcome back, everyone, to Legal Briefs on CP24, simulcast across the country on Court TV Canada. Dave Parkinson from the Canadian Coalition Against the Death Penalty is my guest tonight. We are talking about the death penalty because in approximately, I guess it would be less than 6 hours our time here, Stanley Tookie Williams is scheduled to die from lethal injection in the state of California for murders he committed back in 1979. And one of the interesting things that we talked about at the beginning of the show are the wrongly convicted and the dangers of sentencing someone to death, especially in this day and age now with DNA. But the opposite side of that argument would be we will now be unlike before, where DNA is now exonerating people who may have been convicted in the 70s and the 80s or the early 90s. Nowadays, with DNA, perhaps there won't be as many wrongfully convicted. Perhaps there won't be as many.
No, because, I mean, if you look, like right now, the forensic pathologist at Sick Kids, who has been exposed, introduced faulty evidence in a number of murder trials here in Ontario, and you see. Well,
that's an allegation. I mean,
that's an allegation.
Let's be very careful.
Let's be very careful about that. But in the United States, there have been numerous instances where DNA technicians, people who worked in crime lab facilities, tampered with or provided fault.
So you're saying we shouldn't be as satisfied.
You can never
today.
be 100% sure.
Right.
You know, no matter how much evidence there is, there's always going to be that element of doubt about getting the right person, and even in some cases where it looked like they had the right individual, they've later been exonerated through DNA or other means. So.
All right, let's go back to the phones. Renee?
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, basically I see it as this. Violence begets violence, and when we kill these people, we give them an easy way out of not having to deal with the consequences of their actions, and by killing them, we create more victims by their family, because irregardless as to what anybody thinks, there's people out there that do love them, and they have families. So I think we're creating more victims than we are solving problems and resolving issues. So I really don't think the death penalty should be reinstated anywhere, and I think it should be abolished everywhere.
All right, Renee, let me ask you this. Should there be a referendum in Canada? Should it come back onto the political landscape, and should all citizens in Canada have a say on this?
Well, I think what should come back is discussing life in Canada, because 25 years is nothing. Really and truly, it's not life. Right. It isn't. So I think life should be life. So you sit in jail until the day you die. I don't think that the issue of the death penalty should come up because we've abolished it and it should stay that way. But I think the issue of how long life is should be considered and rediscussed.
All right, Renee, thank you very much. Appreciate that.
Thanks.
Do you think it ever, like, what's the sense? I mean, I like I say, it's not on the political landscape. We talk about these shows because it happened on these shows because it's happening south of the border.
Yeah.
The U.S. Supreme Court has said a long time ago it is not cruel and unusual punishment. It doesn't look like things will change in the U.S., does it? It's going to be here. I don't see it going away.
Well, there has been a lot of progress made by abolitionists and others opposed to the death penalty. Governor Ryan, for instance, in Illinois recently, because of the large number of wrongful convictions in his state, basically cleared out death row and didn't abolish the death penalty, but commuted all the sentences to life.
Didn't he leave his position, though, and do something else? Wasn't it a political move?
He did. He resigned as governor afterwards because in the United States, of course, the whole crime and punishment, when it comes to election time, if you're not hard on crime and punishment, you face defeat at the ballot box.
Well, it'll be interesting if that mentality eventually comes up here, depending on what happens in our political
people
climate.
always talk about having a referendum on capital punishment. I would challenge the same people to have a referendum on taxation. I think if we were to have a referendum nationwide and abolishing all forms of taxation or revenue the government
yeah, you'll probably get a lot of support for that.
Exactly, but would that be the right thing, and what would the government do after that?
Okay. Let's go to Barrie. Lorraine, are you there?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Oh, I can hardly hear you.
Well, I can hear you.
My comment is, well, I'm one of these people that think that it should be, capital punishment should be allowed in some cases. Like somebody like Bernardo or the people that kill police officers. Let's say there's 4 or 5 cops trying to arrest someone, and the person kills one of them. Like, there's no doubt that they shot that policeman because they were all there to see it. There's no doubt about it. That's 100% sure that that person killed that police officer.
So if we got somebody who killed a police officer and we're 100% sure.
Well, of course, because there were 4 or 5 police officers who were there to see them.
All right, that's your scenario. All right. In those
somebody
cases,
that murders little children and cuts them up pieces, you know.
so certain crimes with 100% certainty, you'd like to see it reinstated in this country.
Yes, and mainly my reason for that is monetary. I don't want to pay for these people in jail for 25 or whatever long
It's monetary,
time.
so you're not even talking about from a punitive aspect.
No,
you're talking a financial aspect.
That's right, yeah.
All right, Lorraine, I appreciate your call.
Well, I would just want to add to that, saying if there was a number of police officers present at the shooting, I don't know if people remember the case of Bambi Bambenek on America's Most Wanted in the 1980s, accused of killing a police officer, fled to Canada, was later extradited to the United States. There were police officers who witnessed that murder, but it turned out that she was wrongfully convicted on false testimony of the police officers present at the time. And you know, again, there can never be a 100% certainty. You know, with what she was saying with regards to that, I really don't think that even if there is such a heinous crime, killing a police officer, killing a child, we can ever be 100% sure.
It's interesting, though, you know, when this happens, as we watch the vigil taking place outside that prison in San Quentin, and what goes through people's minds as to what will that mean at the end of the day for someone who was who killed people back in 1979. Apparently has changed, has helped so many young people who are thinking about getting into gangs. What that will mean, besides the very simple fact he killed somebody he's going to die for. We're going to take a break here. Everybody on the line, stay where you are. We will get to your calls.